this Satan, the accuser, will be loosed from out of the guarding of him. So he's not going to escape. He's going to be loosed like a chained, angry dog. So today we're going to look at how to divide chapter 20 of the Apocalypse, aka Revelation. We did another video on chapter 19 that goes into detail about how to divide chapters. So go watch that first if you haven't watched it already. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this. Chapter 20 of the Apocalypse, the Rooted Word, Common English Edition. You heard it read in the last video, number 7, and now we're going to divide it. Obviously, the first pericope, if you don't know what pericope means, go watch the video on chapter 19. The first pericope is verse 1 through 3, the binding of Satan 1,000 years. Now, we can see that because verse 4 starts with, "And I stare at to discern thrones." And verse 1 started with, "And I stare at to discern an angelic messenger." And we don't have that at all in between those two verses. And also, we are changing the theme at that point in verse 4. So here we have, he's talking about seeing an angelic messenger who has a great restraint in his palm, grasping palm of his hand. And he uses vigor to bind Satan. And he gives all these different terms for Satan. He binds him 1,000 years, throws him into the place of immeasurable depth, and closes and stamps as with a signet upon the top, so that he may not be causing the ethnicities to wander anymore until the 1,000 years is ended. And in the midst of them, it is binding that he is loosed a little occasion. All right, so that's all about the binding of Satan. Then it changes theme in verse 4, and you can see that. "And I stare at to discern," and so that's the same way that he started verse 1. "Thrones." Now, okay, thrones. That, we're starting something different now. Okay, because it's not about Satan being bound and being thrown into the immeasurable depth. And this next pericope is the supreme blessing in the first resurrection. And that's what we find from verses 4 through 6. "And I stare out to discern thrones, and they sit accordingly upon them, and a distinguishing through decisions given to them. And I discern the souls of those having," these are those who were executed because they refused to worship the little hunted game animal, aka the beast. They are going to be supremely blessed. They will live and reign amidst the Christ for 1,000 years. And they're the ones who sit on these thrones. Verse 5, "And the remaining ones from among the dead ones do not live until the 1,000 years is ended." So the 1,000 years is a lifetime that is dedicated for those who did not yield to the hunted game animal to worship him. It's dedicated for them. It's their time. It is the first and foremost standing up to resurrection. Then in verse 6, we find the blessing. "Supremely blessed and terrifyingly clean is the one holding an allotment in the first and foremost standing up to resurrection. Upon them the second death is not holding exousia from out of existence, but they will themselves be sacred ones of God and of Christ, and they will rule in the midst of him 1,000 years. So, supremely blessed are they. That's what this pericope is about, the supreme blessing in the first resurrection. The first resurrection identifies who they are, because they are the only ones who are resurrected from the dead in that first resurrection. Now we go on to the next pericope. "And whenever it is ended amidst the 1,000 years," and you say, but this starts with an "and." Well, we did say before that sometimes the "and" is used as a transition between pericopes, especially in Revelation. So we see that not all "ands" function the same. And in this case, you look at the theme, it's shifting themes again back to Satan. So we were talking about Satan from verses 1 through 3. Then we are not talking about Satan between verses 4 and 6. You say, what about the little hunted game animal? Not Satan. Not Satan. Yes, he has to do with Satan, but it's not Satan. And it's not about the hunted game animal, is it? The little hunted game animal. It's about the supremely blessed ones who will reign with Christ 1,000 years. That's what that pericope is about. Now we're shifting gears back to Satan. Verse 7. And whenever it is ended amidst the 1,000 years, this Satan, the accuser, will be loosed from out of the guarding of him. So he's not going to escape. He's going to be loosed like a chained, angry dog. All right? So from 7 to 10, Satan's last battle. He's given one last time to start a battle. One last battle where the glory of God will be revealed. He will himself come out to cause the ethnicities to wander astray. One last time. He will lead them together into the war. They step up upon the flat place of the ground, and they cycle the throwing in alongside of the terrifyingly clean ones and the walled town, the one having been loved. And a fire from out of the sky steps down accordingly from off of God, and in synchronicity eats them. Now you could stop it there, and you could put the next verse with the rest of them as part of the judgment. But this verse 10 functions as a transition verse between the two, because not only is it finishing the story about the last battle, but it's also transitioning into the punishment, the judgment. But we put it with the last battle, because otherwise the last battle, although it could be complete, it's not quite complete. And this is still about the devil. And the devil who throws through, the one causing them to wander astray, is thrown into the restrictive lake of the fire and godlike sulfur. Okay, so here we're introduced to the lake of the fire and godlike sulfur in verse 10. And that's important. And that may be enough for you to say, let's put verse 10 with verse 11. So you could justify that. But I'd rather keep that with the ending of the battle. And the other reason is because verse 11 starts with, and I stare at to discern. Okay, so the third time that we've got that phrase, because we've got first ones in verse 1, of course, second ones in verse 4. We don't have it in verse 7. But now we've got it again in verse 11. So this is enough to justify, we got it in verse 12 as well, right? But there's no great change here between themes. It's actually a continuation of 11. So you could say this is like a double stare at to discern. That these two emphasize that this is a transition to another pericope. Whereas verse 10 just says, and the devil. And you notice what's going on in verse 10 is that he's thrown into the restrictive lake of the fire and godlike sulfur. Then it says who else is thrown into the same place. The little hunted game animal and the false prophet will be stomped upon and tortured to compel them to tell the truth day and night into the ages of the ages. And I stare at to discern a great white throne. So absolutely, that's a sharp contrast to what just went on, of there being a battle and them being thrown into the lake, and then it focuses on the great white throne of God. So verses 11 through 15 compose the final pericope of the Apocalypse chapter 20, the great and final judgment day. Verse 12, and I stare at to discern the dead ones, all of them, great and small. Scrolls of books are opened up, and another scroll of a book is opened up, which is being from the life. And the dead ones are distinguished through decision from out of the things written in the scroll of books according to their actions. So what you've got is a contrast of two scrolls. We're not going to get into it right here, but when we get into the teaching, we'll contrast these two scrolls. The sea gives up the dead ones. Death and Hades give up the dead ones in them. Everyone is distinguished through decision and synchronicity for their actions, judgment. Death and Hades are then thrown into the lake of the fire. Then it says what the lake of the fire is. And so it's still about the lake of the fire. And if someone, having been written, is not found, he will be thrown into the restrictive lake of the fire. So the restrictive lake of the fire is a primary element from verse 10 through verse 15. And this ties all of that together as a judgment. So I hope this has been helpful for you to see how to divide up chapter 20. And that dividing up a chapter is not always crisp and clean, because there are those transition verses like verse 10, where it could go either way. But you've got to have strong, compelling evidence that it belongs with one pericope or the other. And in this case, we do. Verse 11 and verse 12 both say, "And I stare at to discern," whereas verse 10 does not. And so it's better to put verse 10 with verse 9. Don't forget to hit the like button and make a comment, so that helps YouTube to know that this is important content and that they recommend this to other people. And I look forward to seeing you in the beginning of the teaching videos, where we get into depth on chapter 20 of the Apocalypse, aka Revelation.